So, I already made a video about how I assumed what a playable march could look like gameplay-wise, which will be in the card in the top right of this video, /screen, or during the end screen of the video. They've at least shown the jellyfish as her memo sprite, in her official art and within the story. I find it hard to believe that her memo sprite's going to be anything else, come on. But this video is actually specifically about what she is and how I feel about her based on what we saw in 3.5 and could potentially see in 3.6. I don't have much more to say about her gameplay because I've already gone over it, so if you want to see that, click on the other video. But I do want to iron out my thoughts about her and her story significance before she actually turns the hell up in the 3.6 special program and that patch's story. So, I think in 3.6 we are going to finally get an answer of what March is. And I think that the answer is definitely going to be an Emanator of Remembrance, despite I've hoped for ages that there was this briefest little possibility that March 7th in some form or sense could have been Fooly. I highly doubt it, and I have never thought it was the most likely conclusion. I just thought it was the most fun one, because imagine. But it actually brings up a lot of questions of just how powerful a Emanator of Remembrance really is, considering in 3.5 just how much of an impact March 7th or Evernight had on Amphoreus' world, stowing away a core flame within time and keeping it completely hidden, finding us in an area completely inaccessible to most entities because it's almost the backing code of Amphoreus that is kept hidden by Lygus to set us free, dismissing memo keepers like they are absolutely nothing when they try to deceive us. And then, in the trailer that we got from the 3.5 special program, being shown devouring Amphoreus. There's also the fact that she was able to completely bypass Lygus' restrictions. The system/scepter didn't know what to do with her. And we know she has been observing Amphoreus for a very long time, both because of Orynyx's account and because of the story of the Rosy Celestial Maiden in the Act 2 of Evernight's story in As I've Written. There are so many weird questions relating to the Remembrance and the sort of power that its emanators have. And we don't have great answers for it, because based on our understanding, it's unlikely that March is functioning alongside the garden. She could maybe be with them, but I doubt it, considering she actively dismisses them, calls them little gnats in the English dub, and seemingly disagrees with how they handle things. Their approach of making deals for the sake of gathering things in preference to their objectives, she told us there should be no price for what she was offering to get us out of there, while the members of the garden that turned up wanted us to find something within Amphoreus for them. We know that the Memo Keepers are considered messengers of the Remembrance. The Memo Keepers of the garden are emanators based on comments within the game from multiple characters, but none of them have been capable of what we've seen Evernight do. Black Swan refers to the concept of an idea of an organisation that is attached to the pinky fingers of Fool Lee in 3.2. I believe that March is one of these entities. An emanator with so much power that they are second to the Aeon. That would potentially explain why March is shown with so much power. I don't believe that many of us would have expected that it would mean that a Remembrance emanator of all entities is a path that seems to be mostly positive until Amphoreus' story in their associations outside of the Cremators, being so strong that they are shown seemingly devouring a world without any effort, in a way that's almost like a cat catching a mouse. And Evernight's influence might not even just be first appearing here. March was seemingly unaffected by Enna's dream. The dream forced on by an aeon of order that Sunday brought about. Something prevented her from being dragged in as bad as the others, and I believe it was quote-unquote Evernight, her true self. After all, the dreamscapes are where both the Path of Remembrance and Enigmata overlap, so it makes sense that this kind of powerful emanator would be able to have some sort of influence on that space. It's Memoria, something that an emanator of remembrance would be more than familiar with. Depending on how literal the showing of her eating Amphoreus is, I assume it's symbolic, but if she is literally capable of having that much influence on a world, she actually might outscale everything we've seen any other emanator do in this game so far. And that's including Zephyros and Phaenon's fight, which seem to destroy figurative representations of planets because we hear no news within the game itself of actual planetary destruction. It's akin to what Zephyro did to an asteroid belt by turning it into glass. We know this happened because of Welt's own comment, but we have not seen it. That is why my wording was quite specific. She is shown to do something more significant than any other emanator. That doesn't mean there aren't others that outpower her. It's just an interesting display of possible power. Now I want to go into what I think Evernight is going to behave like, because her initial drip market shows her with quite the interesting gaze at us, and so does 3.5 special program. She's implied to be, I don't know how to describe this. Everyone's got in their minds that she's a bit of a sadist. But recently, official art was dropped on the Chinese equivalent of Valentine's Day of her and Dan Heng. And there, Evernight's just as bubbly as March is. And towards us, within 3.5 story, she shows clear consideration towards our needs, just makes a point that she doesn't have the time to explain everything. It suggests that she might be kind of akin to what March normally is, or at least a build on that. I don't think she's going to be exactly the same optimistic, bubbly girl that we know because of her memories. I think her knowing so much will prevent the same level of optimism towards the current situation, and she's more capable of taking things seriously. But does that mean she has to be a sadist or a complete 180 on the demeanour of March 7th? I don't think so. I think her losing her memories made her personality kind of numb down to its truest form, a form unaffected by life's experiences. Because there is a nature aspect to what people can be like, as well as a nurture aspect. I want to look at Sigmund Freud's representation of the human psyche with the ID, ego, and superego. Your ID is your instincts, the things that you are born with, like a desire to eat when you know you're hungry. The superego is your behavioural ideals, observations, self-estimations, and self-discipline. It's kind of like your morality. Your ego is based on the reality you've experienced and almost mediates between the other two. I would say that technically, if we are looking at March 7th, she would be the ID and superego, while Evernight would be one with all three, the one who has her ego. So a part of me really wants her to be quite similar to how we've seen her as March. Not too different, but yes, some clear observational differences to make a point that this is someone who we both do know, but also don't, because up until now, she hasn't had a full range of her own knowledge or her own memories. which actually makes her potentially almost like a stranger in some ways, because you can't truly understand someone's developed views of the world or of their beliefs until they've had experiences that shape them. Unless it turns out that to Evernight, to the completed version of March 7th, her time as March is more valuable than her previous experiences. Which could be true, but it still would impact her. It would still change how she takes that information in. And that's something we have to appreciate. So, let me know what you guys think. Do you think I'm on the ball here? Do you think I'm wrong about some things? I'm happy to discuss this in the comments and want to, if anything. I'm so hyped for Evernight. I want to see everything about this girl. I'm really hoping for a ton of lore in her profile, please. And I'm looking forward to her potential interactions with Kayla/Stell, you know, the Trailblazer, and especially Dan Hung, based on how he reacted to seeing her. He was so worried, that poor boy. I cannot wait, and I'm kind of hoping that Himiko and Welt will have the opportunity to interact with this girl. Even Herta, she said that somehow she assumed March would be fine if something happened to Amphoreus. But it doesn't mean she isn't interested in it, she just had to prioritize. Surely she'd have something to say about the bubbly girl we knew, turning out to be like that. If you had fun with this video, I'd appreciate if you liked and subscribed, and please let me know that you have fun with videos like this. It's a good encouragement to make me make more of them. I'm going to be so in when 3.6's special program happens. I'm going to be there as soon as I feasibly can be. Like, let's go. I love this bloody game, man. And I'm so glad that they're starting to deliver on March's potential. I'm going to be so sad if they purposefully keep her identity hidden until, like, way later in the game after giving us, like, this little bit. I want them to just pull the band-aid off. And then we can expand on her future or what her intentions are. Until then, though, I hope you guys have a good night, morning, day, whatever time it is, wherever you guys are, and take care of yourselves.